Hello class and welcome to Illustrator. Today I'm going to review some of the elements that we learned in class, such as the shape tools, so rectangle tool, ellipse tool, polygon tool, rounded rectangle tool. I'm also going to go over the pencil tool again and talk about layers and artboards. So right now we're going to start off with a piece that's already finished. And then I want you to recreate it. But I'm going to show you how to start it and how to form the shapes, okay? So the first thing I like to point out is that this space is called an artboard. Now an artboard is just like in Photoshop when we call that space a canvas. In Illustrator it's called an artboard. Really nothing is here. It's just showing you the dimensions of the space. Now, hotkey to get your rulers up would be Command R. And if you look here, you can see that this is not in inches. This is actually in a point system, which is just another unit of measurement in graphic design. More for type. So if we do Control click, which is right click, we can then change this to inches. And you can see that it changes the X and Y dimensions. So as I said again, this is called an artboard. But let's say I wanted a new artboard. I can come over here, and this is the artboard palette tab. I can pull that open, and if I come down here to the white piece of paper, just like in Photoshop, click New, and there we go. You can see another one popped up. Now, if I want to change the dimension of this artboard, all I'd have to do is either click here, or I can also come over here if I do not have my artboard palette open. Double click, and I can change the dimensions of these, and you can see it growing, getting skinnier, and you can also move it over if you like to. I'm just going to push cancel for mine right now. What I also like to point out is that when this is all highlighted, you can see that some of it's in blue and some of it's in red. And the reason for that is because it's on different layers. So if I come over here, you can see if I click the eyeball, again visibility just like in Photoshop, it will turn off layer 1, which is the bear. I could turn off the back, which is the background. To add a new one, I can put create new, and I have the option of moving that wherever I want to. I'm just clicking, holding down my click, and dragging. Okay? And you can see the orange box is highlighted, and also how there's a white bar to signify where I want to move it. If I double click inside, I can change the name. Okay? Don't forget, over here I can lock these. So let's say I want to practice making clouds in the sky and everything. So I want to lock the bear. I just come right over here. And you can see now nothing is highlighted in blue because the blue layer is locked. Please note too that if I'm on a layer that's locked and I want to do something like this, it will generally come up with a pencil or an X, but something that signifies you cannot work on this layer. If that happens and you have no idea why, the best thing is to go the simplest route and see if the layer is locked, which usually that's the reason why you cannot edit it or transform it in any way or create something new, because the layer is locked. So you can physically not do anything on that layer. Okay? Alright, so again, this is a blank area. To create a shape on there, so let's say I want this background blue, I have to come over here to my shape tool, and all I have to do, it's already on the rectangle, it will change the shapes depending on what shape you're on. So if I'm on the ellipse tool, it will automatically change to that. If I need the ellipse tool later, I can just click and it's already loaded, okay? But right now I want the rectangle tool. So I click and drag, and that looks good. Now the reason why it's blue is because I've already been working on that, but let's say I want a different blue. Just like in Photoshop, the colors are down here, White and black are always the preloaded colors, and you can toggle the differences. Just remember, this one, fill, is foreground, and that will always be colored in. This is stroke, and the reason why it has a dash through it is because it's not being used right now. But if I double click on it, come over here, come up to my move tool, again the safe zone, just like in Photoshop. Let's make the stroke a little bigger. This is stroke. Again, if you cannot find anything over here, just like in Photoshop, you come up to Windows, and they're all over there. But let's make this a little bit bigger. And now you can see the red stroke. But I don't really want the red stroke. I want it to look like a sky. So I'm going to take that off. And how I hide the stroke is by clicking None. Okay? This is really helpful. I have my sky built in just by using a shape tool. Now let's put a sun in there. I'm going to lock that, go on my new, and I'm actually going to retitle this Sun and Clouds. Make sure that's highlighted. Coming over here, changing it to the ellipse tool. Just like in Photoshop, hold down Shift to keep a circle in proportion. If you don't, it will automatically change it to ellipse. If you hold down Shift, it will make a perfect circle for you. So obviously it is in green because we're on that layer. The problem is it's in blue, so it looks like nothing's there when in actuality, if I move it, it's a blue circle. So what do I want to do? I'm going to come down here to my color, double click, and just like in Photoshop, you can toggle over here, you can click over here. That's really up to you. And there we go. There's my sun. Now, what I'd like to do next is form some clouds. Now, you could do this with the shape, but I want to show you how to do the pencil tool. So the pencil tool is a little bit different from the pencil. It's more relaxing and more natural. So again, if I come over here and I hold down, here's pencil, smooth, pencil erase tool, and join tool. Right now, we're going to concentrate on pencil and smooth tool. So pencil tool, or hotkey N. All I'm doing is clicking my mouse, making sure I'm holding it down, and moving the mouse along, or if we're on a laptop, my finger along the way. And again, it's just the outline right now because both my colors are nulled, okay? There's nothing there. But I can come here. Moving up to move tool again, just to see everything, and coming off to a space that's not activated, and you can see there's my cloud. Now, again, I have a stroke. I don't want the stroke. So I have to come back down here. All I have to do is click on here, which is the stroke, and come down to none, and there we go. Hold down Shift and just click on the edges, and you can play with the sizes, okay? Now if I wanted to copy this cloud, all I would have to do, just like in Photoshop, is Option Command, click and drag. Now the most important thing you have to realize with this is that if I do Option Command click, and then before I'm done dragging and I lift my finger off my mouse, and I already removed the Option and Command key from my fingers, it will not copy, it will just move. You need to hold down the Option Command, which gives you that plus sign, drag, and let go at all three at the same time, okay? That's how you're going to drag it. So, I have this. Now let's make this a little bit bigger, but I don't want it the same orientation. I like to rotate it. I'm going to come over here to the rotate tool. If you hold down, sometimes it'll be the reflect tool, so you'll see either of those two symbols. So I want reflect. All I have to do once it's on reflect, I just have to click on the box, and this little subcategory comes up. I always like to hit preview, and you can already see it change slightly, okay? I can flip it horizontally or vertical, and I can also change the angle. So right now, that looks good to me. Gives it enough difference to play around with. Gonna push OK. Again, coming back up to my move tool, my safe zone, and moving that around. So, if the clouds and the sun were on a different layer, I could put one in front of the other, right? By moving the layers up and down like I previously showed. But here, because they're on the same layer, we can work with the arrangement of the elements. So if I click down here, these are all path tools. I can move the path tools and have the sun on one of the tops, just like layers, only these are in each layer. Or what I can do, Command Z for going back, I can click the sun, I can go to Object, Arrange, bring front, and it does the same thing. I didn't physically have to move it, all I had to do was arrange it. So either way is appropriate. But I would like a cloud in front, so I'm going to click and drag that upwards. There we go. And what I like to do now is just make them all a little bit smaller.